Everyone knows cats hate water. It's one of those facts that feels so obvious nobody even questions it. Right up until you watch a cat sit on the edge of a bathtub for 20 minutes, completely mesmerized, staring into a running faucet like it's the most fascinating thing in the universe. Or until you meet a Turkish van, a breed so comfortable in water that fishermen centuries ago swore the cats would jump in lakes to swim and catch fish for themselves. So which is it? Because the evidence doesn't actually add up to hatred. It adds up to something far more specific and far more interesting. Let's start by taking apart the myth itself, because cats hate water isn't really true, even though it feels true every time you've tried to bathe one. What most cats actually hate is not water. It's a very particular experience, sudden full-body immersion, loss of control, and the complete disruption of their most trusted sense, all happening at once. That's a very different thing than water itself. And the distinction matters enormously once you start looking at cat behavior more broadly. Here's the detail that should immediately make you suspicious of the simple version of this story. Domestic cats routinely enjoy dripping faucets, running showers heard from outside the curtain, water fountains built specifically for pets, even rain hitting a windowsill. If cats genuinely hated water as a concept, none of that would make sense. A cat that flees at the sight of a filled bathtub will happily sit for 10 minutes watching droplets fall from a tap. That's not aversion to water. That's fascination with water on the cat's own terms. So where does the fear actually come from? To answer that, we have to go back, once again, to Felis libica, the African wildcat that every house cat descends from. This was an animal built for dry, arid environments, deserts and scrublands across North Africa and the Middle East, places where large bodies of water were rare, and getting fully submerged simply wasn't part of daily survival the way it was for, say, an otter or a beaver. Evolution doesn't build fear randomly. It builds fear around genuine risk, and for a small desert predator, deep water represented very specific, very real dangers. The first danger is scent. A cat's entire hunting strategy and its entire defense strategy relies heavily on scent control. Cats spend enormous amounts of time grooming specifically to keep their scent profile consistent and low-key, both to stay undetected by prey and to avoid attracting larger predators. Submerge a cat fully in water, and that entire careful scent management gets wiped out instantly. Wet fur carries a strong, different smell, and it takes hours to fully groom back to normal. For an animal whose survival depended on staying quiet and undetectable, being suddenly and completely rescented was a genuine tactical vulnerability, not a minor inconvenience. The second danger is weight and mobility, and this one is almost purely physics. A cat's entire body is built around explosive short bursts of speed, sudden vertical leaps, and split-second changes of direction. The tools of an ambush predator that needs to escape danger just as fast as it needs to catch prey. Soaked fur holds a significant amount of extra water weight, and wet fur mats down, losing the loft that normally helps a cat move with minimal drag. A dry cat can hit near-instant top speed. A soaking wet cat is measurably slower, heavier, and less coordinated exactly when speed and coordination matter most. In the wild, that half-second of sluggishness after an unplanned dunking could be the difference between escaping a predator and not. The third piece is sensory, and it's the one people underestimate the most. Cats rely enormously on their whiskers and their inner ear balance system to understand their environment in real time. Submerge a cat suddenly, and both systems get overwhelmed at once. Water distorting the fine air pressure signals whiskers normally read, and the inner ear struggling with disorientation from sudden weightlessness and directional confusion. For an animal that depends on precise, constant environmental feedback to feel safe, that sudden sensory blackout is genuinely distressing, not dramatic overreaction. It's a legitimate loss of the tools the cat uses to navigate its world. Now here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because not every cat inherited the same relationship with water, and the exceptions prove the rule beautifully. Take the Turkish Van, a breed that developed near Lake Van in eastern Turkey, a region with a completely different environment than the arid deserts most cat ancestors came from. Turkish Vans developed a water-resistant, almost oily coat texture that sheds water rather than absorbing it, meaning the core problems, the scent disruption, the added weight, the sensory overload, are all dramatically reduced for this specific breed. Maine Coons show a similar, if less extreme, water tolerance, believed to be linked to their development in a colder, wetter climate, where a denser, semi-repellent coat was actually useful. The fear isn't hardwired into cats as a species. It's hardwired into cats as a response to a specific ancestral environment, and when that environment changes over enough generations, so does the behavior. There's also something individual happening here, separate from breed. Kittens exposed gradually and gently to water in their first few months of life, during what behaviorists call the socialization window, often grow into adult cats with dramatically less water aversion than kittens who never encountered it until adulthood. Some working cats historically, ship's cats in particular, were regularly around water, docks, rain, sea spray, and developed a tolerance that had nothing to do with breed and everything to do with early repeated low-stakes exposure. The instinct sets the default. Experience can meaningfully shift it. And this is really the key insight buried underneath the whole myth. What looks like blanket hatred of water is actually a highly specific, highly rational risk calculation running on ancient hardware, weighing scent exposure, weight and mobility, and sensory disruption all at once, in the half-second before your cat decides whether to jump into that tub or bolt in the opposite direction. It's not irrational panic. It's a fast, evolved cost-benefit analysis. And for most cats, most of the time, full submersion still comes out looking like a bad trade. So the next time your cat sits transfixed by a dripping faucet, or nervously paces the edge of a bath you're trying to fill, you're not watching contradictory behavior. You're watching the exact same animal making two very different, very consistent calculations. Water on its own terms is curiosity. Water forced and total is risk. Somewhere behind those wide eyes is a desert hunter, still quietly weighing scent, weight, and balance, exactly the way its ancestors did 100,000 years before bathtubs existed at all. If this changed how you think about your cat's relationship with water, hit subscribe, because this channel keeps uncovering the ancient instincts hiding behind the everyday things your cat does. And if you know someone whose cat turns bath time into a full production, send them this video. They're finally going to understand why.